John, tell me about your genus study.
Great. So Genus was a project that we undertook a couple years ago, um, and this, we made an observation that there's so many unscripted TV shows that and the sort of the nature of them was evolving so quickly that it was hard to sort of categorize them and say, all right, this sort of type of show is really appropriate for true TV. For if TNT wants to get more involved in the unscripted space, what types of unscripted shows should we make? And just to give you a sense of the scale, at any given point in time, there's in any quarter of the year, there's about 1,000 different unscripted shows on television, defining it broadly. But we wanted to make sense of that landscape, and so we started by saying, all right, let's self-categorize. Let's get a group of people in together, and we quickly said, well, gee, how do you categorize? How do you a show like Undercover Boss, or does that go into a business category? Does that go into like kind of a fly on the wall category? The Apprentice, is that competition? Is that business? I mean, any show. It would have to be judgments, and if you get 6 people in a room, it's like the Israeli parliament, you get 8 different opinions. So we said, well, maybe we could harness the respondent level Nielsen data to tell us what the categories were. So we worked with principally Mike Hess at Nielsen, and did what I think was a really groundbreaking segmentation process. And most segmentations, you take a group of people and you divide them up based on their characteristics. It can be demographic, it can be psychographic, it can be behavioral, it can be a combination of that. But we said, no, we're not going to divide up the people. We want to divide up the TV shows, and we're going to divide them up based on common pools of viewers, and used a technique. I'm not a statistician. We used a technique called principal components analysis, PCA, and it really worked. And we ended up with 18 different subgenres of unscripted shows. And some of them were information based, some of them were entertainment based, and from the 18, we were able to then profile their audience demographically. We were able to do some further research, really understand the drivers of viewing for any individual category, and sort of identify where the spaces are that we wanted to play, where are the ones that probably didn't fit with our networks. Able to do all sorts of duplication work to say, okay, if you take a network like TNT that at that time really didn't have any unscripted programming at all. So what else on our air would be appropriate lead-ins to a certain type of unscripted subgenre that we wanted to target, and it's been extremely useful segmentation, and it's the type of thing that just a few years ago you couldn't do because you couldn't get access to do something like this. You needed the Nielsen respondent level database. And you needed, for I guess it's 40,000 individual people, their viewing records over a period of time, and it was not too long ago you didn't even have computers that could crunch all this data, but to Nielsen's credit, and they were able to pull it off and give us something that had a lot of insight for our organization.
Were there any drivers to viewership that you found surprising or that you didn't expect?
Yeah, one of the findings that I love featuring when I present that research is their History Channel and True TV both have pawn show programs. High, at any given point, they've been the highest rated shows on their network. So you have Pawn Stars on History Channel, and you have Hardcore Pawn on True TV. And going in, any expert segmentation probably would have put those shows together. It would have been, and they might have, also, I don't know, put it in a segment that had shows like hoarding and about people collecting objects and over time, or God knows where those shows would have been in a just a expert segmentation that didn't involve any type of consumer behavioral analysis. But what we found in the Genus project was they went into completely different segments, and in hindsight, of course they should have. The History Channel show, Pawn Stars, very much focuses on the object itself. It's somebody comes into a store, they have something, they think it might be of value, it gets appraised, it's either genuine and rare or it's not. You learn, it's a little educational, you learn about it, and they either get a lot of money and you go away feeling good about it, or it's worth nothing and it's like, oh, too bad, and then they tell the next story. Hardcore Pawn is all about conflict. It's set in a very, it's a pawn shop in a very rough neighborhood in Detroit, and the owner is always fighting with his kids who work there. The customers are always fighting with the owners or the employees. The customers are fighting with each other. It's all about conflict. And yes, there's transactions going on, and yes, sometimes it's items that were worth a lot and really interesting stories about the object, but that's almost besides the point. And through identifying the fact that they had very distinct pools of viewers, and their viewers were sort of in orbits with other types of shows. In one case, much with Hardcore Pawn, which other shows that had a lot of action and conflict, versus Pawn Stars with a lot of different shows that are really more educational in tone. We're able to make that distinction.